We're blowing through content, bro.
No doubt. And we are live right now. We need some kind of little jingle to lead in, don't we?
Sure. I mean, I have
Mike
one.
and Donnie's. Yeah. Is it the Donnie and Mike show or the Mike and Donnie show?
I think we all know it's the Donnie and Mike show. I'm certainly second billing on this deal. There's no doubt.
We've talked about doing this.
Right.
So it's more in proportion with what it's supposed to be.
Exactly. I mean, let's not get silly here. We all have to know our place in this world. Right?
Well, okay, here we are. This is week 3. We were super excited because we got 500 views last time. So first of all, we need your help. We need you to share this video because obviously with just our clout and our followers, somebody liked it. We had a like. If you could share and like this video, that would be great. We are 2 guys that like to converse with each other just in general. We talk at least once a week and about what's going on in our markets and everything else, literally everything else. So, I mean, Mike, you look like you're spry and ready this morning. I guess you had your coffee, right?
I did. That's what we were talking about earlier is, so as you can see, I have this little formula on the back. If I can, there we go. I'm sorry, I'm backwards on this deal, but this little formula behind me that I got. Well, I got this. I'm a big NASA fan, which we'll get into a little bit later too. But this is a coffee mug I got from Kennedy Space Center that's got B greater than average is what it says. And in my mind, I'm like, hey, this came from, Kennedy Space Center. It was put on a cup. It's got to be legit, right?
Yeah,
it's got to be real. What that means? No, I don't know what any of that means, but it's got to be legit. The only thing that I know is the B greater than. That's it. That's all I got.
B greater. I got that for sure.
No idea.
Yeah, it's not beta or bromine or something like that.
So I was telling Donnie earlier that my wife and I were having a lively conversation this morning because I asked, if you were a coffee drinker, which you're not.
Those that know me know that caffeine and me are no bueno. Not good.
It's what is it? G2? Is that right?
Oh yeah, water G2.
Yeah, there you go. Same thing. So my wife wanted to purchase a new coffee machine, but it's like an espresso machine. And I'm not anti-espresso. I got no problem with them. I like them. They're good. But I'm a convenience first person. So for me, I want whatever's easiest. So I'm a pot coffee drinker. Like I like drinking it out of a pot. And I don't like the Keurigs. And, it's a nice convenient excuse to say, oh, well, Keurigs are bad for the environment, which they are. But if I'm being honest, that's on the lower scale of what I'm concerned about.
Hold on. Why is Keurigs bad for the environment? Because you're putting plastic out?
Yeah. Because those little cups are just pure plastic and they last forever. So, and when you go through, hundreds of them, a month, it's not good. But like I said, I would love to say that really concerns me. But I'm more concerned about myself. So that's a little selfish side of things. So I'm more concerned about convenience. And to me, Keurigs are not convenient either because when you put the little thing, you got to do it every single time. So if you drink more than 1 cup of coffee, it's a whole process. So she wanted to buy this espresso machine. I was like, that's fine. As long as I get my pot. She's like, well, it doesn't have a pot. You have to make it every time. I'm like, well, then I'm out. I'm not going to do it. I don't care how good it is.
I'm done drinking coffee.
I'm out. I don't want to do it. So I'm a big coffee fan, and it's one of my favorite things. But at the same time, I also like convenience and ease, and I'm not jacking with it. So that's where we're chatting.
So I get it. I get that 100%. Just a quick story. So we have a client in this morning, and we don't have people come in the office all the time. Most of my client meetings are done over the phone. So we're excited. We're like, hey, do you want some water? You want some coffee? What's going on? And they said coffee, right? So they wanted some coffee. Well, nobody in the office drinks coffee, right? But we've got a Keurig out front. We're ready to roll. We're ready for you. It's instant. Not true. So Donna goes up there. I'm like, Donna, you need to help me make a cup of coffee. I don't know what's going on here. So she immediately goes and gets some water, right? Fills it up. So there's that. And then she puts the K-cup in, puts it down, and it just pours straight water through it. Just water's coming out. We're like, oh my God. She's freaking out because we've told this guy we can have him coffee in 5.5 seconds. So we take that out. She goes in. I start cleaning on it, whatever. Then it's like processing, rendering, where it's doing the whole hey,
it's got to get it hot,
and getting ready and whatnot. Which, by the way, as a coffee drinker, I would think that's very frustrating when you're ready for a cup right now, and it says, "Hold on a second, we're heating the water up."
Yeah, that's my point. That's why I like pots, because it heats the water one time, and I got like 6 cups of coffee ready to roll, and I don't have to wait for it to heat again.
There's nothing better than that leftover coffee that's left in the bottom. As a matter of fact, I'm tagging Jamie Abbott in this one because she is the world's worst, and she'll drink any coffee, straight black, just coffee.
Yeah.
And like yesterday's coffee, there's a little bit down in there. Just pour it in there and freaking heat it up. It's like syrup. That would be horrible. That sounds terrible to me.
Well, again, you know, it is an acquired taste, right? It isn't something that you just come out of the womb like, hey, I love coffee. But you know, you get that little pick me up in the morning. It's nice. You get a little going, feel a little energy, you know, out of the gate. So I enjoy it. And I always used to make, so I don't know what you did in your younger days there, but I was I waited tables and was a bartender for a number of years, like through college and whatnot.
Yeah.
And we always used to make fun of like the old people that would come in, you know, at like 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night. They'd be like, you know what, I'm going to have a cup of coffee with my dinner. And I'm like, what? Like, who drinks coffee with dinner? What's wrong with these people? And now here I am, like showing up at we're going out to a bar to hang out or something. And I'm like, can I get a cup of coffee? You know, you put some Baileys in there too. So at least it's like an alcoholic drink. But, you know, I need a little get up and go. If it's like 9 o'clock, it's past my bedtime.
The funny thing is going into a bar and ask them if they have a fresh pot of coffee. Like, no, man, we sell beer. No, we don't have coffee.
Yeah, well, that happens a lot. So, so I understand now. It's like all this stuff comes with age. You know, you start to figure it out, and like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now I understand why, because you're tired all the time, and you know, trying to get past that. But
well, I mean, it's like chapstick. Once you start using coffee, you have to have it, right? Chapstick. Right. If your lips aren't chapped, except in the winter, you need a little bit of whatnot. But chapstick is addictive. We'll talk about that in another deal. Which, by the way, our leading in with coffee didn't work. We're down to 6 people watching right now, so coffee didn't draw them in.
Were we up more? I don't. Did we have 7?
No, we got up to like 9 at one point.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, real quick. Before we go on to our main subject, I wanted to give a quick shout out to my friends at Fair Texas Title, because they gave me this wonderful cup because they saw some of my other videos and I had, you know, drinks out in front of me and they wanted a little rep. I love these guys. They're this particular office is based out of Mansfield. Tiffany Williams and her crew are awesome. So thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. I'm going to tag them in this video so they have to watch it and then they have to share it with other people because I mentioned them. See how this works? You get other people to do it for you.
Well, by the way, first of all, tell Fair Texas Title everybody needs just one more Yeti. And secondly, why is it Fair Texas Title? Like, is there an unfair Texas title?
Well, I mean, you know, Texas is fair. That's why everybody's moving here, right? We have everybody on the planet trying to get here. So
you keep saying that, like more people are moving to Texas than to Tennessee.
Yeah, I would venture to guess that that's accurate. I would think that I mean, we are bigger. Like, how many Tennessees could fit into Texas? 2 at least, right?
Yeah,
at least 2.
Yeah. Well, you need to be very grateful and on your knees right now, because if it wasn't for Tennessee and Davy Crockett, you guys would be speaking Spanish down there. The border would be a different area. You're welcome.
Wait a minute. I thought they lost. They didn't win.
Yeah, no doubt. But they held them off. It was the pivotal moment. Davy Crockett saved the day.
I thought we learned from our last administration that we don't celebrate losers. Isn't that how it works? Isn't that how it's supposed to work?
Very good point. To that point, I only use stuff where I'm branding myself because that's super important.
Well, I prefer to promote my partners that I work with, you know, and
nobody gives me a Yeti. They just give me cash. By the way, that's not true. Not true at all. It's a joke. Not true at all.
Hyperbole.
Hey, by the way, we got up to 9 again.
Okay. Good.
All right. So let's talk about the meat of our subject today. And Mike, what is our subject for today?
So I want to talk about appraisals simply because it's a very hot topic right now, just because of what's happening in the market with the demand and what happens with appraisals. So I know my answer to this question, but I want to hear your answer to this question. I've never phrased it to you like this before, but all the time, and I actually used to say this myself until I realized, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, that's kind of not right. But I hear all the time about when you have agents that get a little upset that appraisals come in a little low, right? And they say, well, I have 20 offers on this house, and we went over, so this is what it's worth. And the statement is, anything is worth what someone else is willing to pay for it, right? So if you have a pair of shoes that I really like and I want to buy them from you, and you paid $100 for them at the store, but I like them so much I'm willing to give you $500 for those shoes, aren't they worth $500?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the world of appraisals, why does that not apply, in your opinion? What's your
couple things? An appraisal is that person's opinion of that property's value. Right. It is literally an opinion. We can send a appraisal request to 20 appraisers blindly, like a refinance. They have no idea what the price of this house is. And you will get literally 20 different answers as to what that, let's just say and get it down to 10 or 12. There'll be 10 or 12 different appraisal values on that. Okay. Sure. So it is an opinion of value. Now, to your point, I agree. There's a great story I heard the other day on Hair Nation, because that's what I listen to when I'm going down the road. I love Motley Crue and Poison. Lita Ford, in her song Kiss Me Deadly, the pants she wore, she actually bought on the side of the road on a guy climbing a telephone pole doing some work. She pulled over, said, I'll give you $100 for your pants. By the way, jeans in the 80s were $30, right? And they were ripped up and whatnot. She gave him $100. You're right, Mike. In that instance, to Lita Ford, rock on, by the way, those pants were worth $100.
Right.
Unfortunately, in our business, sometimes, Mike, and feel free to use this, you can take common sense and wad it up in a ball and throw it away, because we are governed by guidelines. And I'll bring up a quick topic of who oversees appraisals. And this is hilarious because it's obviously a funny version of how appraisers are governed and oversawn and deal with. But if you look at this, it's a free for all. And those of us that are in the business realize that, right? It's a whole ordeal. Now, appraisers, I love you. I absolutely love you. And quite frankly, I hate your job. I would hate to do your job. But they are governed by a criteria of guidelines. And just because it says $300,000 on the contract, if the seller of another property right around the corner that's just like it sold for $280 and had 100 more square feet, and there's 3 other properties right around the corner in that same scenario, it can't be 300. It's just impossible. And that's all about the criteria that appraisers utilize in their box, right? And they'll do their best to get it. Appraisers aren't the devil. You could quote me on that. They are absolutely not the problem in most cases. Now, there are some that are better than others, just like that's why you use Mike and Donnie, because some loan officers suck at what they do, right?
That's all walks of life, all things. Some people are great, some people aren't. That's just how it works.
But it's not that they're just trying to piss you off. I'm sorry, that's cussing.
It's okay. Hey, we're on the internet, bro. You can say whatever you want.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We're not on ABC yet. No. But at the end of the day, it's literally them trying to work within their guidelines based on what your new neighbors have sold their house for. So long-winded answer, but.
Well, but I think, so I agree with you. All of that is 100% accurate. However, I want to get back to the core of the question. Why does the appraiser get to have an opinion? Why can't they just sell it to the buyer for what the buyer is willing to pay? Why can't they do that?
You want a simple answer?
Yeah.
Save your money up and pay cash for your house, and you don't have to think about it.
There you go. There's the answer. The answer is because so let's go back to the shoe scenario, right? So, hey, Donnie, I love your sneakers. I want to buy them. They're vintage Jordans, whatever. You bought them for $100, but I'm going to pay you $500. And this other guy wants to pay you $400, but I'm going to give you $500, right? Beautiful. Love the white shoe, by the way.
These are Air Jordans, by the way. My
really?
media guy, Jamie Nixon, I'll tag him in this video, got them for me for Christmas. Sorry, $100.
I may have to get some. I'm thinking about some old school K-Swiss. I've been thinking about it, but I'm not even a shoe guy. But anyway, so I'm willing to give you $500. However, I don't have $500, so I've got to go to my neighbor and borrow the $500 from him to buy your shoes. So because of that, now that neighbor gets to have an opinion on how much those shoes are worth, right?
You nailed
and that's
that.
what it
you
is.
Nailed that.
The bank gets to have an opinion because you're borrowing the money. Okay, so we get to have a say. Now, the downside, and this is, I think, and you touched on it a little bit when you were talking about it, but when we talk about appraisals, they're always going to be behind the market. I don't know any scenario in which appraisers are ahead of the market, because you can't be, because everything is based off of past information. So when you do an appraisal, you're looking up sales. You're not looking up listings. You're not looking up future sales. You're looking up past sales. So all you have to go off of is what has already occurred. So in that case, if the neighborhood hasn't caught up, or if we're on an escalating, or which we're on an appreciating market that keeps going up, then you're not going to get the top end of the value because there's nothing to support it from history. Now, the good news is that the next person that buys the house in that neighborhood is going to be able to take advantage of your appraisal that was probably a little bit higher than what sold before. Like all these things, it all compounds on top of each other. But at the end of the day, it is, it's their opinion. Like you said, it's subjective in a lot of cases, but all they have to go off of is previous data. And if that previous data says that, these houses sold for this much, then that's what it's worth. And again, does that mean if I offer $425 on a house and the appraisal comes in at $400, does that mean I can't pay $425? No. You can absolutely pay $425, but you got to have 25 grand, right? In order to do that. If the appraisal came in at $400, you got to make up the difference. So those appraisal values, and it is a struggle right now because I do think, again, we're in such a appreciating market and it's going so rapidly, and housing is at limited supply. And, we kind of talked earlier about maybe discussing, there's a new plan going through about first-time home buyer credits and trying to get people more incentivized to buy houses. I think we need to incentivize builders to build more houses, because our problem is not having enough people to buy houses. Our problem is having enough houses for people to buy. And the fact that, wood is 5 times more expensive than it used to be.
It's weird. Like wood, like trees cost more. This is so weird.
Well, have you seen, I don't know, there's a lot of I don't know if you're on TikTok or if you pay attention to any of these little YouTube videos and clips, but there's all these, it's funny now, you'll see like construction guys and they're all like having those bling videos where they're like, oh, I got money. And they're showing like plywood, like, check it out. Like,
I got this money.
Right.
Well, okay. So let's add kind of 1B to your 1A of appraisal values. And let's talk just a little bit about 1B, which to me would be along the lines of appraisal process and turn times and when you should expect it and what an appraiser goes through to come up with an appraisal. And look, we're not here to defend or condemn appraisers at all, but there is a process involved in we order an appraisal, right? And if you'll look at this little thing on here, it says third-party oversight, right? So we have a group of in our business, and some people go through a whole nother organization, but due to Home Value Code of Conduct, short for HVCC, we have to be kind of round robin on how we order appraisals. So we go to our third party, we request an appraisal. It goes out to the appraisers, and it's a supply and demand situation in the appraisal market in that, because people say, how much is an appraisal? Like, God knows. I mean, who knows what it's like a bidding war. It's like shipping. Is it shipping wars that they bid on how much it's going to cost to get from point A? It's kind of like a bidding situation where they say, look, I know your due date is 10 days from now, right? They come back and say, look, I can do 14 days, but it's going to be $600. Right. And then
was that 12 days, $500, 12 days. 12 days.
But at the end of the day, That's economics, right? Because if you'll notice, Mike, would you say you did close to twice as many units in 20 than you did 19? Is that a pretty good number?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Well, by the way, it takes a long time to get in the appraisal business.
Yes.
We didn't double the amount of appraisers during that time. So they are little. I do need, Mandy says I need Botox up here. That was a squirrel moment, but I really do. This is horrible. Sorry. So
hey, look at this guy. What do you think? This
do
is
your
smooth,
eyebrows
baby.
up.
Smooth.
Do your eyebrows up. Okay, that's pretty good. You're younger than I am.
Not much.
We didn't double the amount of appraisers during that time. So you call an appraiser, you know, they're looking for the appraisal. Where the heck's what's the holdup or whatnot? And they're just, I mean, coffee for sure. They're drinking coffee at 10 o'clock at night trying to get reports out and whatnot. It's definitely been a struggle for them. And by the way, if you're young and in this business and maybe real estate or mortgage or whatever is not working out, go and team up with an appraiser and get your appraiser's license. You have to do a little tag team like a junior appraiser for a while, like 2 years.
I think it takes is it 2 or 3 years to become an actual full-blown appraiser?
2 to 4, whatever. Nevertheless,
yeah.
You're going to make money during that time. It's not like it's a free intern or anything, but
no.
What a great business to go into because the beauty of appraisers is you don't really have to make the phone ring. You literally, because that's in our business, there are really good loan officers that go broke every day because they suck at making the phone ring, right? They're not doing the Mike and Donnie show, kind of deal. They're not out creating smiley faces so people call them back the next time. So that would be a great business to go into, but there is a process. They have to contact the borrower, line it up with their schedule, and they're like, yeah, man, sorry, I can't go out there because Sally, she's not going to be home till, next Tuesday. And, all that is along with it.
Well, and then throw COVID in the mix where you got strangers running through your house and, you're
with your hazmat suit on. And I had one couple that said, Donnie, I really want that 2.5 interest rate, whatever, but nobody's coming in my house.
Yeah, no, we had the same. I had several people that, like I had a borrower his wife had gone through some cancer treatment and she was immune compromised, right. And he didn't want some stranger coming through the house, and I totally understood it. And there are options sometimes, because we talked about how do you get out of an appraisal. Well, I will tell you the best way to do it when you're buying is to put down 20%. If you can put down 20%. Yeah, you can have a chance to get rid of to not have to have an appraisal. But then they have something called a 2055, which is like an exterior where it's like a drive-by. You drive by, you get some pictures. Well, that was working for a while, but then now you've got investors and Fannie and Freddie that are kind of going, yeah, we don't really like that. We don't want a 2050. We want you to go in. We want pictures. We want to know what's happening, especially, and it's become an even bigger issue here in Texas because recently, and now we're a couple months past, but you know how we can't ever forget when it gets cold. We had our little, winter Armageddon that we had here a couple months back, and that caused homes to be considered disaster areas and had to get stuff rechecked. So I mean, and appraisers have to do all of this. So it's not just appraising the property. They've also got to go, if it's a new build, they got to go redo it again because you didn't get your certificate of occupancy. There's all these steps, and like you were saying, Donnie, they don't just grow on trees. You don't just get a new appraiser and it's like, boom, there you go. You got yourself an appraisal. We're all good. Like, it doesn't work that way. So,
the biggest thing in all this is, we are in a increasing market, right? So our houses are appreciating, but it's all about the lender essentially. I mean, you're paying for the appraisal, but you're paying for it because you're asking for money and the lender really wants the appraisal. All of this has to do with making sure that they're not caught in a bad situation if you don't pay your mortgage, right? They want you to pay your mortgage. They hope you do. And they're pretty sure they're going to. That's why they're getting their pay stubs and all that stuff. But if you don't pay your mortgage and you're getting a 96.5% FHA loan, they're cutting the bacon pretty thin as far as being able to get out of that deal if you quit paying. And by the way, whether they underwrite you and get your pay stubs and check your assets and verify your employment and whatnot, there's X amount of people that are not going to pay. There's something that's going to happen that's you're not going to pay your mortgage. Which, by the way, Mike, I just had a thought of next time we get together and do this is talk about the potential wave of foreclosures when unemployment changes, when they cease the whatever rent and payment and all that stuff and all the forbearance and whatnot. Yeah. We are seeing the potential for a large wave of foreclosures coming down the pipe.
Yeah, maybe. I do want to talk about that because I do think there's a little bit of maybe not as big of a problem as we think. And because here's what I think on that, just real quick, and I think we can talk about that in greater depth another time, is that even if there was a decent amount of foreclosures that came on the market because of this, because there will be some, right? Of course, this is going to happen. But I still think it just barely puts a dent in the inventory that we need to get back to like a normal balanced market where you're not having sellers dominate the market, because that's what it is right now. If you're a seller, you get pretty much whatever you want. I had somebody the other day, they were asking me about, because a lot of people are in that situation where they want to sell their house, right? But they want to buy, but they need the equity in their home to be able to put down in the new house, right? And there's a lot of ways you can do this, and give Donnie and I a call. We'll explain to you all the ninja moves on that. But in their case, I said, look, the great news is you're selling your house, and their house was, going to be listed at like 230 or 250, which is like, you're going to have 25 offers in a weekend. So as part of that, you can say, look, I'll sell you my house. You win the bid, but I need a 30-day lease back because I need to go get into my next house and be able to close and have the cash. And that's the kind of leverage sellers have right now, that they can pretty much, demand whatever they want, especially at certain price points, because there's so much competition.
Well, I mean, you're exactly right, Mike. And, that's probably a full episode subject right there. But at the end of the day, this is a evolving market. We're dealing with, not things like we did in 08, 09, where it was a major explosion. Because Mike and I will tell you, we are making good loans. Now, we can't foresee a company shutting down and all their employees lose their job. We can't foresee those kind of things. But for the most part, we're not, checking your pulse, getting a copy of your driver's license, like, you got a loan. Yeah. All right. So let's change gears. We're at 27 minutes. We've got a hot topic to talk about to end. And we're going to see, by the way, we want your topics that you want us to talk about in the bottom down here, which, by the way, I need to lead in with that next time because we may not have as many people on here right now. But this topic is hot. But we want to know what you want us, two crazy, mostly ignorant guys, to talk about. So today, Mike, not me, has picked the subject aliens.
In fairness, I didn't pick it per se. I just sent you an article this morning because you think I'm full of BS on this whole thing. So,
well, if it's an alien, you didn't pick it; it picked you.
That's right. Well, in some cases,
get into your brain. Okay, so let's talk about it. I mean, by the way, we lost 2 people as soon as we said that. Let's see.
Okay, now this guy is a little crazy. I will give you that. I don't like his show on the History Channel. It's called Ancient Aliens, and it's pretty bad. Although, well, there's the whole other thing on that. But yes, no, this guy's a nut.
All right, so I mean, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. For those of you that are with me, I do not believe in aliens. I don't believe they exist. I don't believe they certainly don't come to our thing and check us out. If aliens are out there, right, they're way more advanced than us, and they don't give a care about our little cars and our little technology to do this. There are no aliens, period. All right, Mike, go.
Well, so the Defense Department would disagree with you on that. So the U.S. Defense Department would have a severe disagreement. And the last COVID relief bill that was passed by the Congress during Mr. Trump's presidency would also disagree with you on that. Because in that bill was a provision that said that the intelligence community needed to release all of their, or give a summation of all of their knowledge on, they don't call them UFOs anymore. They call them aerial phenomenon. So it's a UAF, unidentified aerial, or UAP, sorry. Unidentified aerial phenomenon is what they call it. Okay. So
real quick. So let me interject as we go. So you said the U.S. Defense Department disagrees with Donnie, right?
Correct. Yes.
And you got this information from the U.S. Defense Department because they're really big about giving us real information, right? Or where'd you get that?
So there's been a number of things. So first off, the biggest one that happened a couple of years ago. There's a guy named David Fravor, okay, and he was a Navy, I believe, corporal. He's a pilot. I believe he was I believe he was a Navy pilot. He might have been Air Force. I'm not sure. Okay. But he was the first one to come out because there was radar footage that had leaked from the Pentagon that showed in a cockpit, essentially, like from an a fighter pilot's point of view, the instruments of these unidentified aerial phenomenon that they had seen, where essentially they had gone from, let's call it 100,000 feet in the air, okay, and they dropped to 2 feet below sea level in less than 1 second. Okay, so
real quick, they were in the cockpit.
Correct.
Like we've got pictures inside an alien cockpit.
No. We have pictures from a American fighter pilot radar. Okay. So our radar that shows this thing moving across the screen. Okay. It was in the New York Times. It was in the Washington Post. You Google it. It is all over the place. Okay. So that one happened. Let's call that actual footage was from 2016, I think, maybe 2015. But it wasn't, or maybe it was from 2009. It was released in 2017. I can't remember. I don't have it in front of me. But
get your facts straight, man. If you're going to convince me,
Google it. You don't even have to listen to me. Just go look online.
I'm Googling it.
So then you've had multiple situations occur since then. The most recent one was you had an American Airlines pilot who saw and commented on something that like he reached out to the radar and was like, "Hey, there's this other." Object flying above us. Is it a missile? Is there something, so they didn't know what it was. Well, that audio was leaked along with some footage that they took, which is part of the article that I sent you today, was that now they have a bunch of different shapes. There's one that they call a Tic Tac, which looks like a Tic Tac, and it doesn't give off a heat signature. And actually what they think is that it uses gravity to propel itself. It's not a propulsion like we understand it, where, the way we understand propulsion right now, in order to get from point A to point B, you have to have thrust. You have to have something that pushes you to go this way. Well, what they believe, and there's actually, there's another guy named Bob Lazar. I could go on this forever, but there's a guy named Bob Lazar who came out in the 90s who said that he worked on these crafts at not Area 51, but a place right outside of Nevada that was tied to Area 51. And he was working on reverse engineering the technology to try to figure out how the propulsion system worked. And he actually came up, or they discovered an element. He called it element 114 that they discovered during this. And, at the time they were like, yeah, this is a bunch of BS, whatever. And then like 10 years later, it got added to like the periodic table, this element that they found. So like he essentially predicted the future, I guess you could say, but they already knew what was going on. Can
you have an element on our index that's not found in our atmosphere?
Yeah, because we are a part of a greater cosmic, environment, right? So asteroids and other planets come, and so
we can agree on that.
Yeah,
we can agree on that. Okay, so we're well documented of what Donnie believes. There are no aliens, right? What does Mike believe? Forget about the guy and the article and the American. What do you believe?
So I believe that I don't know everything. That's what I believe.
No,
but
come on.
I know. I'll give you what my opinion is. Okay.
Okay. You're an appraiser now.
My opinion is that to think that we are alone in this vast and massive galaxy, universe, whatever you want to call. I mean, there are literally uncountable numbers of stars that we know of, and uncountable planets that are associated to these stars. So to think that we're the only ones that made it through, I think is a little bit naive. Number one, okay. Number two is that you're right when you said earlier about, well, why do they care about us? Okay. I don't know. Maybe they don't. Or like there's a theory. I don't know that I believe this, but there is a theory that how do we, because and this gets into deeper things too, but how do we go from not being able to, talk and climb in trees and all that stuff to all of a sudden, boom, we're what we are now. And we've been what we are for hundreds of thousands of years. Now, I know your thought on this. And like I said, that's why it's a deeper discussion.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
We're not going to get into religion.
Correct. Right. So some people think that, that we were kind of like, genetic experiments. So think about it like this. If you had an ant farm, right? And you bought ants and you put them all there and you wanted to see what other kind of ants would breed with these ants, right? Would those ants be aware that you were watching them? Would they know that you were there if they didn't have a certain level of consciousness that would be there? Because here's the best way I can explain it. So gravity, okay? Gravity is something that you and I both know is real, right? Would you agree with that? Okay.
I think we discovered it.
Right. But that's a force or something that we're aware of because we know that it's there, right? Well, ants, as small as they are, don't feel gravity or perceive gravity the same way that you or I do because they have a very low amount of mass, right? So if ants were intelligent, okay, which they aren't, but maybe they would be, I don't know. If they were, right, what would be their perception of gravity? They wouldn't have a perception of gravity because they don't know that it exists, right? Because it doesn't impact them. They can fall hundreds of feet and they don't die. I mean, they don't really understand what it is because of the impact it has on them directly. From their point of view, gravity is not a thing. So what I'm saying is, from our point of view as human beings living on the planet, there may be things that are out there that we don't know of because we can't perceive them, right? That's where you get into multiple dimensions and wormholes and, all this other stuff. But if you don't know that it's there, how can you say that it's not?
Okay.
I don't believe that. I'm just saying that is what some people think.
Mike Mills believes that the human race is an experiment, which, by the way, there was a great movie on it where they thought all these people thought they were getting jobs and they went to this place and the whole thing was an experiment. It's not Area 41. I can't think of it.
That was like with Obi-Wan Kenobi was in that. What's his name?
I don't watch Star Wars, obviously.
No. The what's the actor's name? He's been in a bunch of stuff.
Nevertheless, Mike thinks that the human race is an experiment.
I didn't say that. I said that some people think that. So it's possible, but it's also possible because this is the other thing that people say was like, well, why would they let us, if they did exist, why would they want us to see them, right? Well, think about it. For the last 10 years, it was just like, oh, this is a bunch of BS. It doesn't exist. There's all these undercurrents. Well, now you're starting to have more and more things happen that are becoming more public knowledge because now we have the internet. We have people that can record stuff with their phones and, you can verify. So what if now the federal government is, because they've known about it, because if you go back and watch some of these like go look at an interview with Clinton that he did on Jay Leno. Trump has said something about it. Bush said something about it. Basically like, well, there's something and you wouldn't believe what it was, but I can't really say much. Like there's a lot of that. So what if we've known about it for a very long time and now we're just starting to kind of leak this stuff out and the Pentagon goes, yeah, that's real. We don't know what it is, but it's certainly something that we can't explain, just to kind of start prepping us for the fact that this is a thing. And within the next 5 to 10 years, they're going to go, okay, it is a thing. Here's what it is. Here's what we know. Here's what we don't know. Because think about it from a national security point of view. Would you want to let all the people know that there's some other thing out there that's way more technologically advanced than you and has just been kind of toying with you and looking around for you? I mean, if I'm running a bunch of billions of people, I don't want to tell them that because people go crazy. There's a line from Men in Black that I love. You've seen the Men in Black, right? Will Smith, Tommy Lee Jones. Right. So they're sitting on a park bench. This is right after Will Smith figures out, he takes them in there and shows them all this stuff, right? And he goes, you got to let the people know. You got to tell everybody, people can handle it. They can understand. Why don't we tell everybody? And Tommy Lee Jones goes, you're wrong. He goes, a person is smart. A person can handle it. He's like, but people are crazy and people get formed mobs and people can't handle these kind of things. So I'm just saying that maybe we've been kind of getting the hint from these different scenarios for a long time, and now it's just kind of starting to become mainstream, because I guarantee you there's a lot more. And you can look all of this stuff up. Two documentaries. Number one is Bob Lazar on Netflix. Go watch that. That's the best one. Number two is a one called The Phenomenon, which is also on Netflix. And these are not the ancient alien guys. These are, here's what happened, here's what we know, here's what was documented. You tell me what you think. And that's what they are.
So first of all, I'm not watching that this weekend. My wife's out of town, and I'm a scaredy cat because Mandy protects me at night. In my mind, I make her sleep on the side of the bed closest to the door.
Right.
I'm not watching that. We've been watching Clarice, and I actually woke up in the middle of the night and was thinking about Silence of the Lambs. So listen, I don't need anything else to make me think about that. Secondly, it's amazing that we are so much alike, yet very different. I mean, like, I've never seen two people that in some ways are almost a clone, and in other ways it's oil and vinegar. I've never, this has never happened in the history of the world.
That's what makes it work. That's what makes it work. That's what makes it work. You got to have balance, baby.
So as we close, we're at 42 minutes, and we've actually got a lot of people on here. So we would love for you to share this, like this. Matter of fact, we're not turning this thing off until I get 2 more likes. We're waiting. So if you would share this, and really, we do want to know your topics. We're going to give you some meat in the middle of this, right? We've got a format. We're going to talk about something fun in the beginning. Then we'll give you some meat about the mortgage industry, market, rates, houses, how the loan process works. Today, we talked about appraisals. And then we're going to talk about something stupid like aliens at the end, just for the heck of it. But we want to know your topics. What do you want, Donnie? Because we've probably got an opinion on whatever you can come up with. Now, we are open to any suggestions. So, by the way, we got 3 more likes. Thank you very much. If you're not going to get them if you don't ask, so go ahead and share it too. This is the Donnie and Mike show, or the Mike and Donnie show, whoever, depends on if you're in Texas or Tennessee.
I like the, what is it? 2 MIG. We're 2 MIGs, 2 mostly ignorant humans. That's what I like.
MIGs. We are alien. Well, we are basically just an experiment.
I'm mostly alien. I'm probably 90% alien, I think.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's why there's different people in the world to make the whole world go around. We need people like Mike that believe in aliens on our earth.
I'm telling you, we're going to revisit this conversation in 3 to 5 years, and you're going to have a different opinion.
If I see an alien, I will go back on this show and recant and give you my full take on what's going on.
So that's my question to you. What would make you go, Just, you got to see one, like it physically has to be, you have to see it. That's the only way. You're not buying Air Force footage, radar footage.
Yeah, no, zero. What, I mean, I can't, I'm going to get mad because when has the government told us anything that is valuable that they know? I mean, if they don't want us to know it, they're not going to tell us. And by the way, this guy, I'm getting fired up now. This guy that you said was with the Navy and now he's telling this story. How many times have people left the job and made stuff up about their previous boss?
I think he's still, I'm pretty sure he's still there. I don't think he left. And he goes on shows. They've condoned it.
I want him on this show, and maybe he can convince me.
You're a Trump guy. Trump's head of national security, his head of intelligence came out and said something very similar. He said there's a lot of stuff that we don't know that they haven't released that's way more than what we've already seen. His guy.
I do tend to lean on the more conservative side, although I love everybody. I need everybody to know that.
Yes.
But we all know Trump's administration has said some pretty crazy stuff over the years, and I tend to lean that way.
What? Why is that crazy?
It's for sure.
I'm just saying, it's happening on both sides of the aisle. That's all I'm saying.
I got you. We'll table this discussion. We may have Alien 2.0 down the road. After I need to do some research.
You got to do some research. You got to look at it and then give me your opinion.
All right, Mike and Donnie. We do have a couple of comments real quick. We've got Go Texas from Sandy Drist.
Yep.
Building costs are up 40% over the last year to build a new house. Our appraisals on current homes going up 40%. Will Fannie and Freddie allow that? I mean, they pretty much are. It's been about 10% a year the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And once again, you guys have made my Friday morning. Hope you both have a wonderful weekend. Listen, we have got fans, Mike. I'm serious.
We do.
We've got fans.
Sandra's a fan. She has a comment a lot. I like Sandra. I don't even know Sandra, but I like you, Sandra.
Sandy loves us. I love it. Hey, y'all make it a great day. I love you, Mom. Mandy, be careful down there where you are. Mike, do you want to sign off for anybody? What about you?
Keep being good humans. Keep doing what, because the aliens are coming. So we got to stick together.
They're only going to take the bad humans.
That's right. Only the bad ones.
Okay. Hey, y'all make it a great day. Have a great weekend.
See ya.